Nothing brings out my closeted nationalism like a few Coronas, the World Cup, and playing a video game made by my fellow countrymen. But I say the same thing to Mexican developers that I say to the Mexican soccer team every 4 years. Sin dudas y sin pruebas. I have no doubt you'll win it all, and no proof. Alas, Q4 2026. The fingers crossed and no promises of release dates. Probably Q1 2027, I reckoned, before the release of Mariachi Legends. 12 years I waited for a Mexicovania to match the lucha libre locura of Guacamele, Canadian-made, mind you. A Jose hasn't outdone the hosers at Drinkbox Studios in 12 years. What's another 6 to 8 months? Plenty of time to sample Halberd Studios' catalog, I figured. 9 Years of Shadow's Steam page did not entice. Fight to bring beautiful colors back. How cliché. Or it would be cliché if this had ever been executed properly. Restoring color is a unicorn mechanic. Interesting on paper, but not real in the wild. Gun to the head. I couldn't name a single game that used color restoration in the gameplay that didn't relegate it to a visual or narrative theme. Cock the hammer and I might scream out Splatoon, or that one 2-player mode in Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Jesus, Goku on a food truck. The Sailor Moon homage startled me, even though I was expecting it. I often find Mexican art, especially first-timers and commissioned work, has the subtlety and composition of a collage titled Stuff I Like. Maybe it's the cultural love for murals or the lax copyright attitude. It's reverent. It's romantic. It says this is the stuff that makes me me, and if you like this stuff too, then you found yourself among good company. Doesn't necessarily mean we sell Goku or good tacos here. It is a toss-up. Unoriginality on this level can spread to the menu. Or maybe the mural was just a throwaway idea, and the real heart was in the kitchen. Only way to find out was to grab a plate. Admittedly, I haggled myself into buying 9 Years of Shadows. I like Metroidvanias, I said unconvincingly. It was another one for the collection, I bargained. I like seeing how developers grow from one project to the next. It was on sale, and I kind of felt bad for profiling the devs. 8 hours later, I decided I had every right to do so. 9 Years of Shadows falls into the category of a pretty but ... game. You know the kind. You scan Reddit threads, Steam page, strange passerbys, and witness positive reviews praising the gorgeous art and heavenly music before admitting that the gameplay is rather mediocre. The negative reviews get to the same place from the opposite direction. They concede that the art and music are phenomenal, and then they bury the basic gameplay in the dirt, the tombstone reading, "It's pretty but ... Heartbreaking, truly. So much feedback games get in the early stages are about graphics and sound. No other conversation can be had until the art gets sorted out. And then the conversation's about content. You don't need consumer feedback when you know what most of them are going to say. Your game needs to be pretty and have more stuff. Unfortunately, the production side works from the other direction. Foundation and architecture first, paint and furniture added later. Ideally, you lay down art and programming in tandem, make a feature, give it some art, work out the aesthetic and direction, but indie developers rarely have the resources to do both at the same time. It might end up spending more money and extending development time in the long term to do so. But I wouldn't go easy just because this was a little studio. Frankly, I don't consider this many people on one project to be indie, and I had my own backhanded compliment to add to the pile. 9 Years of Shadows is pretty, but ... in a vain kind of way. It's pretty for the sake of being pretty. It's pretty for the sake of nostalgia. It's not pretty in form or function in a way that serves the gameplay. In fact, the visuals and music are so pretty, they rob attention from the real spectacle, the combat system, which is ugly and deformed, but much more interesting to talk about. There's the standard 90s platformer arsenal, a light attack, a heavy attack, a teddy bear. Teddy gives you a light bar used to fire missiles, flip switches, and shield your measly health pips. It's not the first time I've seen a 4-in-1 shampoo, conditioner, hot sauce health bar, but this is the first time I've seen refilling it be such a hassle. The game instructed me to stand still and squeeze Teddy to regenerate a portion of the light bar, but it had to be completely gone, otherwise I had to fire missiles to empty it, then miss the QuickTime event, and then hold the teddy bear to recharge the shield. Playing too many shooters left me with a condition. I spam reload whenever ammo's infinite but limited by mag size, and it wasn't a compulsion that would be cured in 10 hours. Tedium. Emptying out the shield, waiting for the QuickTime event to fail, and then holding the teddy bear all for what was in essence just a health bar. I didn't mind a reinvented wheel, but this was reinventing a flat tire. Luckily, both go the same speed when a car goes off a cliff. That cliff in question was a cheeky hit from a boss knocking my lights out. That's where this mechanic shines, in dire straits. A hit from a boss knocks your shield off, a quick-time event pops up, you land the needle inside the window of opportunity, and your reward is a refund of light. And if you lose your light again, you refund it again, indefinitely. But the normal enemies and starting boss fights weren't threatening enough to force me to use the quick-time event, so I didn't get much practice until I hit a wall of bosses that were getting bigger, shakier, and more cluttered. Hitting the prompt was like trying to close out malware on your mom's infected PC. I grew brazen in the sweet spot. It's not every day a game has my order, my taste for combat. Somewhere between unstoppable and fragile at the same time. 2 fists out of death's reach, like looking at gorillas through cracked zoo glass. Initially, this mechanic didn't feel like a safety net. It felt like a hypnic jerk, a survival mechanism gone wrong. Whenever I lost all of my health, my brain became occupied with the important questions. What? Who hit me? Who? But my body didn't care to find out. Not when there was a quick-time event that needed pressing. As a side note for the design intrigue, this sort of system is generally referred to as a one-shot protection mechanic. It's to keep the player from feeling like they're dying to cheap shots, while still maintaining tension. Risk of Rain 2 is my favorite example of a game that uses such a mechanic. Eventually we grew too familiar, the quick-time life regain and I. I was pushed, damn it all. I didn't want to stop the duck-dodge dance, I had no choice. The bosses became more predictable, more mundane, more long-winded. I stood in front of them face-tanking, regenerating as a sort of fast-forward option. This was the core of the pretty but ... problem. All this sparkling eye candy brought too much attention to things you wouldn't want someone staring at for too long. This game was a nice marble countertop, with a suspicious corner peeling up. My God, it's a sticker. Well, that's not the end of the world. And then you notice it wasn't aligned or cut right. It's not one thing, it's multiple things. An accursed loop of noticing something. How much effort did it take to make a game set in a building feel so disjointed? I know this fortress sits atop a demon, but even basic fire code would net you a better Metroidvania map. Otherwise, it's a sparkling platformer with no loading screens. A well-done Metroidvania map tells a story of the shapes and colors of a journey, with each room sharing a relationship with the adjacent chambers. It's through this association that you get a sense of direction. The art was pretty, but ... where were the defining features? And in searching for notable landmarks, I noticed the world was pretty, but ... flat. No jagged edges, no sharp inclines, no curves, mostly long rectangles, perfect shape for marble contact paper, or mahogany, or a poison grove, or hell. Then I noticed the sections connected awkwardly at times. Then I noticed missing corners. I was circling the drain of noticing something. I felt bad. I wanted someone to catch me in the act of nitpicking over the copy-paste orphan drawings. You're making a mountain out of a molehill. Voyeurs, I say. You lack context. It was an 8-hour road trip through flat fields with not much else to look at but molehills. I blame CinemaSins. No more can one point out minutia and disharmony. Any critique that amounts to less than a fifth of the game time is dismissed as whinging for the sake of a tally count. I point out the little things first and foremost because this was a little game, and because I believe in the developers. Most can cover the broad strokes in their sleep. It's the little things that could potentially reveal a long curly hair in the soup. I won't pretend to know what caused the issues. The beauty is there's room for creative solutions. In a word, focus, especially when you're poor or starting off. Pick 1 or 2 things and nail them over and over. Don't just say you miss your parents. What does that look like mechanically? Even if it's an abandon your daughter QuickTime event, that takes it to another level. When I'm in a cave or a crumbling grotto, texture the floors and ceilings, not the art, the sticker, but the actual architecture of the level. What does it mean mechanically to be in a fire biome versus a water biome? Here I'm just floating up 2 different colored streams. Even the title. What does it mean mechanically for the game to be set after 9 years of shadows when they go away within the first 10 minutes? This is why so many games feel like they're made of themes and such. The paintings are sad, the characters talk about loss, but you're not gaming sad. I was fond of the combat, the sloppy start, finding the groove, and then trivializing the game. Yes, I am God, but this won't bring back my parents. This is much more cohesive and put together than everything else, which is just pretty. After all that, I didn't feel very nationalistic. I didn't feel eager to recommend the game to casual gamers. It's not just that it fell short of Guacamelee, it fell short of most Metroidvanias for me. This is for collectors scoring a sale. But I am optimistic for Mariachi Legends. Unless they're programming from scratch, a lot of the base mechanics are already in place and can be expanded on. There's a second chance to make a more refined gaming experience focused on the heart of Guadalajara. But will the developers show up in the gameplay this time around, or will they still do the mural of stuff I like thing? The bane of pretty but ... games. I hope there's a bigger plan than horchata stickers.